I've had a few requests recently to do a video or video series dealing with the Scherzo, and it's a fantastic form. We might loosely say form to study both for the composer as well as the instrumentalist. So we'll use as a musical example the Chopin B flat minor Scherzo, and briefly we'll touch on the Liszt Scherzo in March. So my whiteboard is a bit messy here. I tried to color code all the main points so that it's easier to follow along, but I'll explain in detail what all these things mean, as well as why I put in parentheses the Scherzo and trio. That's an interesting point that we'll discuss toward the end of this video. First of all, the scope or the purpose that it serves. The Scherzo can be a solo piece, a standalone work like the Chopin scherzos. It could be part of a slightly larger piece like the Liszt Scherzo in March. Usually, it's the third movement in a cyclic work like a sonata, concerto, symphony, quartet, etc. And the Scherzo takes place of the minuet. The minuet used to be the third movement in a four-movement work like that, but the Scherzo gradually gained more acceptance as the third movement. As far as the time signature, you might hear that it's always in 3/4 time. Is that the case? Well, I love counterexamples because it shows that the rules in music, if done properly, can be broken. And so I'd like to give you a wonderful counterexample. Hopefully this shows up. This is the Breitkopf edition of the Liszt Scherzo in March. You might find this very interesting. Look at the time signature at the very beginning. It has both 2/4 and 6/8. Neither of which are 3/4, if you'll notice. So I invite comments on what that might mean. In a future video I will discuss why the two time signatures, but just so that we understand about the time signature for a Scherzo, it is usually 3/4 time. In fact, all four of the Chopin scherzos are 3/4. But there are, as we saw, counterexamples as well. As far as the character goes, the word scherzo means joke or joke-like, and that's the character of the piece. It's lighter, faster. It's less regal, we might say, than the minuet when it's part of this larger work. Sometimes it even takes on a demonic character, which we definitely see in the Liszt Scherzo in March, as well as in several of the Chopin. As far as the form goes, this is the biggest consideration for the Scherzo. There's some debate sometimes as to what the form actually is. So as our example, Chopin's B flat minor is Opus 31 Scherzo. And in a future video I'll discuss binary and ternary forms. But for this, we're going to consider rounded binary form. And if you, so this is why I have trio in parentheses, because the proper form is actually Scherzo and trio usually, because the Scherzo itself, it only refers to the A and A or A prime following the B. The B is actually the trio, so they alternate. Now, we say that this is rounded binary form. It's not necessarily ternary, because ternary is slightly different. As I mentioned, that will be a different video, but the reason that it's rounded binary is because on the repeat, we see here that it alternates B flat minor and D flat major, both repeat. Then we get into the trio in A major, alternating with C sharp minor and E major. And that both repeats. Returning to our Scherzo, B flat minor and D flat, but neither of them repeat. We then go to the conclusion of the piece in D flat major. So We call this A prime because it is not the full scherzo being repeated. It's a shortened version of it. So this is an overview of the scherzo as it usually appears. We'll also consider some other ways of writing the form out and some examples of that in Beethoven's music.